Shalom, Pastor. I'm always disturbed when I see an apparent contradiction in the Bible, and there are so many. Is there a reason for this? We hear arguments left and right that this book is so outdated since we are gaining more information and knowledge in fields of science and social justice and freedom and the way we should think, especially in how inclusive we're supposed to be to everything around us. And even from the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, we see an apparent contradiction. How come, for example, Genesis 1 and 2 give a different chronology of creation? Is there a greater purpose to these apparent contradictions?
That is a very good question that has caused many to fall away in their relationship with the Lord and even in their desire to begin one. What purpose do these apparent contradictions serve? And remember, they're apparent because there are no contradiction in the scriptures. So why did God not make it easy for us? There are many reasons behind these difficulties. A first one is to get us to work and to bless us. This is part of our sanctification, that is, of our spiritual growth. We need to develop and deepen our faith in God through constant reading, study, meditation of His Word. We need to take not only the historical account of what happened, but we often need to combine that with the symbolic language used to understand the deeper intentions of the Lord. Take, for instance, the Genesis account you used. The reason for the change in chronology in the first two chapters is to emphasize how in chapter 2 God has put man at the pinnacle of His work, and therefore man is mentioned first. And the scriptures is a very deep and supernatural book which requires actually much work. To give you an idea, I have in my library over 15 Greek word lexicons and more than 15 Hebrew Bible word dictionaries, yet I have only 2 or 3 English lexicons. This gives us an idea of the depth of each of the words inspired by the Ruach HaKodesh, that is, by the Holy Spirit that is in our scriptures. It is quite amazing that each of these lexicons approaches the word from a different perspective. This is how profound our Bible is. But let me tell you, there is again no contradiction in the Bible. It is a perfect book read by imperfect people, and the danger is when we judge it by our own limited abilities to fully grasp and understand. One other reason why we find those many difficult passages in the Bible is to protect it. This point is brought out by Yeshua himself when suddenly at one point in his ministry he began to speak in obscure parable to the crowd, so much so that the disciple noticed and they asked him in Matthew 13:10, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" Before this moment, Yeshua spoke using similes, metaphors, and illustrative analogies, but he never addressed them in such uncertain parables where all the listeners were left to themselves to figure out what it meant. But this is where he explains why he began to use new parabolic teaching. What you are about to read here is a turnover, a reorganization of his ways of speaking, of teaching. This is what he says next, verses 11 to 13 of Matthew.
He answered and said to them, "Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For whoever has, to him more will be given, and he will have abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand."
This is some statement he pronounced here, and this is given in answer to the leadership's final rejection of his person as the Messiah. Once we reject Jesus, he really closes the scriptures. And it's very logical, since he was rejected, the words of Yeshua are not given in such a way as to be hidden from those who do not believe and often read it to misuse it. However, it is revealed with much depth to those who believe and are willing to understand. This is how mysteriously divine yet powerful his words are to us. Only God can pronounce such words that would create darkness in their understanding for some, that is, and yet for others that same word would become a great light. And this is why there's nothing like the parables of Yeshua. But let us not limit this to the parables alone, because the whole Bible is like this. This is what God says over and over in the scriptures, as we read in 1 Corinthians 2:14. But the natural man does not receive the things of the Lord, for they are foolishness to him, nor he can know them, because they are spiritually discerned. If you believe that Yeshua died for you, that you are a sinner, that he is the only way to God, his Spirit will reveal some wonderful things in the scriptures. And I want to tell you, it's not revealed to an exclusive elite group or to the cream of the crop, but to confessed sinners, just like what Paul said. For when I am weak, then I am strong, and strong where in the Lord, of course. So when we approach the scriptures, we need to do it by faith, as the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, says in Hebrews 11:6, that without faith it is impossible to please him, for those who come to God must believe that he is. So when these so many apparent contradictions, when we encounter them, there's a calling on us to deepen our understanding of his word. And if you encounter one, don't let it go unanswered. Read the passage many times and from different translations if you want to grasp the context. Try to see the original wording and ask your teachers. They are there to answer these questions.